and you could search balls deep, and you could listen to the shows in the archive from that time period, and you could find exactly when I told everybody this was what was going to happen. Nobody's going anywhere, nothing's changing. Both sides are going to reach a point where they both face the music, whether they like it or not, that the other party is in their best interest, and they will kiss and make up. The first step of this being Adrian Peterson coming back to work, and then the second step of that being the Vikings restructuring the terms and conditions of the final 3 years of his contract. That's exactly what I said was going to happen before the NFL draft. I told everybody that's what's going to happen. But here in Minnesota, when the news broke on Monday, people caught fire. Everybody's balls were on fire. People were either really happy because, okay, we're closing. This was the final step and the final chapter in the kiss and make up and repair the relationship, and everybody can move on and work and do their best to achieve goals that are in the mutual interests of each other. Other people were extremely heated about it because they viewed it as the Vikings caving in to Adrian Peterson and giving him what he wanted, giving him more of something somehow. And these are also people who, for the most part, I believe are not over or at peace with what Adrian did almost a year ago that landed him in the trouble that he's been in the situation that we're all still getting out of as a Vikings organization and fan base. So point being, if you were in Minnesota like I am, and a sports fan and a Vikings fan, almost everybody was either really happy about it or really upset about it. Like I said, I was neither. If anything, I was happier about it because I do look at it as a final chapter, a final step. That's not to say that Adrian Peterson is guaranteed to retire as a Minnesota Viking or anything like that. It is much more likely now for that to happen, but in no way is that a guarantee. Also, are the Vikings in no way handcuffed to him by offering this restructuring and getting him some guaranteed money? It actually benefits them more because they were able to turn a lot of his salary money, which pretty much these whole last 3 years were all just direct salary money, and that all counts towards your cap, your salary cap that you are allowed to spend to make your team good. Well, they were able to take the same amount of money that he was going to make over the 3 years anyway, and they restructured it so that some of it's guaranteed, some of it's incentive, and some of it's salary. So over the next 3 years, the hit that he will take towards the Viking salary cap went down for all 3 of those years from what it would have been had we not restructured anything and still kept him on the team. To me, the only way you can be upset about the restructuring and view it as a bad thing is if you want him gone from the team for good, period, at the soonest possible moment, and you view this as something that is going to much prolong that result, if not ultimately prevent it from ever happening. Unless you are of that mind and attitude, there's no way you can look at it as a Vikings fan and see it as a bad signing, a bad deal. But like I said, there are a lot of people out there that still are not over what he did. And that might be the case for forever. And I'm not saying that anybody who isn't needs to be. I'm in no way saying that at all. Every one of us has the right to feel whatever we arrive at for emotions and thoughts in regards to the events that led us up until this point. But you also have to, at some point, be able to separate yourself from the people judging other people, from the fans judging sports, athletes, and teams. And you have to look at it as an unbiased outsider in regards to a business operation. What are their priorities? What is their number one goals that they need to strive and accomplish? Well, the Minnesota Vikings organization is an organization. It's a business. It's a profit-driven organization with the goal in mind of having the most competitive football team that it can field. And if you simply remove whatever your personal thoughts and feelings are on the events, like I said, and can look at it from an unemotional, unbiased business standpoint, it was literally a win-win for everybody. It was a win for Adrian Peterson. He's going to get the same amount of money as long as he plays and plays well. And it's guaranteed, and some of it's guaranteed now. Or if he gets injured or, doesn't quite play as well, he'll still get a decent chunk of the agreed upon money. So it's a win for him. It's a win for the Vikings. Like I said, they just reduced the salary cap hit that he's going to cost them over the next 3 years significantly. And that's going to allow the Vikings to finish up getting the couple last missing pieces we need at strong safety, at offensive line, and, I guess wherever else you think we're weak. And most of all, it was a win for the NFL, because now not only is AP back with the Vikings, but the issues are resolved and settled and squared away and placed in the past now, where there are no more distractions in regards to this. And the timing of that, it makes all the sense in the world from a Vikings business standpoint. Take care of that stuff before training camp starts. And that's exactly what they've done. Both parties involved. The last winner that I want to point out in this would be the perpetrator in all of the shenanigans and tomfoolery that has taken place in the media, at the combine, in communications, in interviews, in all of that stuff. And that would be Adrian Peterson's agent, Ben Ima Dogra. At least I think his middle name is Ima. I don't know. I know it's Ben Dogra. I think his middle name's Ima. I'm not sure. But anyway, he would be the last winner, because as I said months and months and months ago, the whole situation and reason that it had come to trade talks and release demands, almost, depending on who you talk to, what you read, Adrian Peterson never demanded that stuff. His agent did, more or less, multiple times. Release us, trade us, pay us more money, or we're out of here. One way or another, we'll do whatever we have to do. And I explained months ago, like I said, go on Spreaker, scroll through the archives, listen to some old episodes from around the NFL draft time, and you will know that I speak the truth now and I spoke the truth then. The contract that Adrian Peterson was still signed under, all the money that he got from that and all the money he was still due to receive from that, was not a penny that got to go into his current agent Ben Dogra's account, because Ben Dogra was not his agent when he signed that contract, so he got no commissions of any kind. Had no, other than what Adrian Peterson pays him just on a yearly basis for consultation and management fees, he was not making any money off of Adrian Peterson, and could not make any money off of Adrian Peterson until there was some sort of new contract for his client. Had this not been the case, I don't know that Adrian Peterson would have ever come out and said, no, I need to restructure it, I need some of it guaranteed, whatever, this and that. Play and get the money. Like, it's the same amount of money. It's a difference between I'll give you $5 million for sure, and I'll give you $8 million then after you get the job done as well, or I'll give you $13 million throughout the course of you doing your job the whole time. It's not much different, and I'm not saying that those are the exact numbers, but what I heard, and again, these figures weren't made all that public, but I was heard that $20 million of the $45 million that he was due, approximately, again, these are approximate figures, over the next 3 years were turned into guaranteed money or incentives. Most of it guaranteed, some of it incentives. That is pretty much exactly what I said. I said it was going to be around $15-20 million that they would turn into guaranteed money. So I was even pretty close on that. So congratulations, puppet master manipulator Ben Dogra. You did finally manage to milk some money for yourself out of the situation involving in the relationships between Adrian Peterson and the Minnesota Vikings. But like I said, the main thing to take out of this whole situation is that finally now the Vikings and Adrian Peterson's rocky relationship should be considered mended and a thing of the past, and they should be able to have a prosperous work relationship. And that's good news if you're a Vikings fan, whether you like AP or not. Alright, now I just noticed a weird feed thingy-mabobber on my signal recordings here for the show. I hope that we are not experiencing audio difficulties. However, if we are, I apologize, and, sorry. Yeah, that's about it. But hopefully it's just a visual thing and not an audio thing, and everything's going good. But I'm just going to keep rolling with the show and hope for the best. Alright, so that was it for AP Talk with Balls on Fire. If you are a Minnesota fan or just a sports fan, if you have any opinions on the AP contract restructuring that he and the Minnesota Vikings did earlier this week, please let me know if you're ecstatic about it or if you hate it. Either way, I would love to hear from you. Send me a tweet at BDST Show or send me a message on Facebook at Scotty-Ball. Alright, now let's talk a little bit more football, and then we will officially move on to the meat of the show. For other football news, Brett Favre had his big return to Green Bay over the weekend. I can't remember if it was Saturday or Sunday or when it was, but he returned to Green Bay, and they sold the place out. There was like 67,000 some people there just to watch Brett walk out the tunnel and wave to everybody and accept his place in the Packers Ring of Fame. Now, I was unable to watch it, aw dang. But I did, like I said, I heard some people discussing it, and as a Vikings fan my whole life, I hate Brett Favre much more than I love Brett Favre. He was the guy beating my team every time I thought my team had a win against his. So I hated him as a fan. Even when he came into Minnesota, part of us all hated him because we didn't trust the guy at all. Our one saving grace every year when Brett Favre was destroying us was that, well, look at this stupid play that he did to lose it for you guys too. We were able to do that almost every year outside of the one Super Bowl year against the Patriots, I believe it was, when Brett Favre won his one and only Super Bowl title. Now, I don't bring any of this up to rip on Brett Favre, and I don't bring any of this up certainly to kiss Brett Favre's hiney. I merely bring it up because it happened, Some people have thoughts and feelings on it. I just